all the green starred positions that I believe it's a 20% chance every turn that all these will surrender in here. And of course, free up lots of forces. We need to come down here and either take Paris or control all of the blue starred ones and force it. Again, I think it's maybe like a 20% chance per turn or something to get them to surrender. So that is where we are. Just a quick update. And of course, this is up in Luxembourg and Belgium. So the north. Supply is very much a thing with strategic command games. So we need to be very aware of where roads and maybe even more importantly, railways are to keep us supplied deep into the rear here. Now, so let's start up here. We've got some French artillery here. Okay, yeah, we will. Readiness is, morale is pretty low of this division. I think they've had, oh, no. That readiness and morale much higher there. Well, they just had a little bit of a reverse. Okay, they fell back to there. They survived. We're going to leave these guys up here, screened by that division, or brigade division. Now here, that's going to be costly. So we have some artillery here. So that is still costly, and I'd rather spend the shells now. And we can, as you can see, we keep reducing its readiness and morale with these attacks. Yeah, it's going to be a lot less costly. But yeah, I think this is going to be a little while before we can really use the artillery again. Just movement of things. So let's just end up using all these shells. Okay, well, that would improvement. Only one down there, and hopefully take this out. Right. Oh, but costly. All right. So there's zone of control. Now we also have down here a fortress, Epinal. Features big in World War I, so it's already here. And we have St. Die holding here, which is the end of our railway link here. Hey, Friar Oakenshield, how you doing today? Glad you're here. And we're also holding out here with a few screening forces. I think we could move up a few forces this way against Verdun, or the rear of Verdun, shall we say. And that will, for supply here, current supply, next turn, so we'll have much better supply capabilities here. I think just holding the town will be adequate. Again, we are moving towards Paris, which is over here. And we don't want to do too much. We do have rail down to here and then up to Jeanville. But we also have rail connecting through here. So, I don't know that we have a strategic advantage. I mean, yeah, sure, cleaning up a few of these little towns would be useful in gaining MPP, so we should do some of that. But I don't know that we really need to besiege Epinal and take it out for good victory conditions as I'm thinking about this. That will get rail down this way through to here. Don't know how well this will be defended, but would allow rail supply to come back up here if we can hold all of this. And a way to, if need be, bypass the forces here. And thanks for following Slangiran. I'm probably butchering that. I don't mean to, but not a word I'm used to seeing. Okay, well, they got hurt. These guys can move to there. They can move to here. Keep supply in the front. Okay, yes, I was looking for these. All right, now if we were to move them now, we can just hit this for now. We'll only get them to here to here. So they're going to be back here and have to walk. Where I think if we wait a little bit, we'll get these repaired and be able to move it further forward on, you know, through, because it's the rail plus based on control of the towns for the unloading. So I think we have a firm rail connection to here and here and maybe up to here, but if we wait a bit, instead of having here and then walk them turn, just move them forward. Hello, Ellen Devout. How you doing? You need to put the exclamation point right next to points, not spaced, I believe, to find out your current points. Maybe it just takes time. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. And hello, Cthulhu Kitty. Thank you very much. So I think we're going to leave both the siege artillery and the field artillery. We're going to cancel this back here for the moment because we want it on the railways. We want to be able to bring it forward. It would be useful here in attacking any of these, including the fortress. But again, I don't know that we need to. We want to try to keep our forces concentrated here. Now, okay. I'll move you up like this. You like this. Want to keep you in here. We don't want... Every turn is a 20% chance of... Oh, I'm doing great. How do you win this? Capture Napoleon III or certain territories. Okay, well, yeah, we didn't capture Napoleon III. He went back to in this game. He went back to Paris and got deposed. He did not lead, and I don't know exactly how the event worked. Whether it was random or what, of some sort of base. There was no. He did not come leading a major force like historically did to try to relieve Metz. So I don't know if that rallying thing failed or something within the events. So here what we're trying to do here is to get Metz to surrender by controlling all of the green starred hexes, which we currently have a unit on them. So we control. I'm not absolutely sure whether you have to have a unit on them or simply have them in our territorial control, but I'm not taking the chance. And then to get Paris, we can either take Paris, punch our way into it, or get all of the blue ones, blue hexes, which are these towns, things like Saint-Germain and Versailles. And then again, I think it's like a 20% chance or something per turn that, or maybe it's just in a number of turns. I'm not sure which. Right offhand, it does say in the game description that you can read at the start of this, and then France will surrender. So yeah, it's more control around Paris, or you can smash your way into it if you wish. But the designers gave you sort of the historical option of just besieging the city. And we have that up there again. That just came here. So we're going to wait now. Let's see. We're going to, while we can, we're going to purchase a couple of more divisions. We didn't use the points this turn to upgrade any forces. We've mostly just been moving forward. But getting maximum amount of forces ready to. Okay, 479 MPP. If we're able to withdraw that artillery, push on these guys. But yes, Sottorello, this is a great DLC. I'm enjoying it. Okay, the Frontier activity, these are basically sort of guerrilla slash militia type activities here and are disrupting this area. I don't think unit placement affects that. But I'm not absolutely sure either there. Any possibility of a decent French counterattack at this point, or have they lost all initiative? Yeah, I think they've lost all initiative. I don't think they're going to counterattack me in any meaningful way. Obviously, they weakened that unit by a simple hit there, but I don't think so. It just comes down, and there is a time trying to make a win by France. Yeah, and the default start, and the AI is playing reasonably well. And with that, if we were to, can we move past Nancy? We can't, okay, well, we still can't move past it, damn. Maybe I should move a few forces to hold there. I want to hold here to be able to get through rail connections. my artillery further north or further west. The default starting is you as the French player. In here, hopefully, yes, C in time. If I wish to pursue there, we'll see about that one. Guessing there's somebody there. I'm wrong, I guess. I don't think, and I hear you try to make a win by France, yeah. I don't think the French forces seem fairly weak at start, and the Prussians, or the Germans really, because it is coalition German forces, seem strong enough that I don't think the French, it's a good idea to go offensive on the French at first. Like they did historically, I think it would be best to, hold back in here, use the river line, Metz, and hold down in here, and just try to hold as much as you can, and make the Germans just grind into you. Yeah, I think, and we can look here, hit supply. Okay, we're decent amount of supply here, but next turn, if we move in here, we're going to really be supplyable, but not very effective through this forest, the Argonne here. So I think we're going to keep the sort of cavalry hanging there. We very well may, once we get here, we very well may need the railways for supply through here, so we may have to push into Verdun. But I think for the moment, we're going to mostly look at pushing this way. Yeah, they just collapsed a lot more than I thought they would. Here is I'm moving up the artillery. Just as you can see, I have a lot of forces here that have been gutted from attacks that were probably necessary to keep the momentum of the assault up, but very costly. Get their forces together. Oh yeah, they did historically, very much so. I'm not an expert on the war at all. I before starting the playthrough, I read Wikipedia on it, so I hope that the facts are generally speaking correct. So what I'm doing here is looking at moving up forces that are in reasonably good shape. Well, these guys are in pretty bad shape, though they're only a regiment, so they wouldn't get over 5 anyway, so we'll move them off. We'll move these on just to see if it does reduce the Frank tier tanks, because I do want to get that heavy artillery forward of these bases and not have to pay to move them twice. Okay, cost available. If you haven't moved and haven't attacked, you have the ability to reinforce. And fortresses will have, they sort of function as artillery in that they have one range, one hex range of bombardment. Many troops need supply, absolutely, yes. But France can give some territorial close to, oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. Satarello. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is instead of trying to do the historical and push, pretend that you're Napoleon the First and you have his army, whether it's the French Revolutionary armies that he commanded in the, invasion of Italy, or just generally his imperial armies that, well, even up until the, the Battle of Waterloo, that were quite capable of offensive action. And it's, well, the 4 days of the Waterloo sort of campaign really wear it down, and I would say the brilliance of Wellington, the Duke of Wellington, is able to blunt the offensive, but I think that is very much what is responsible for, that army is much more capable than this army. Okay, I think we're going to continue to follow down this railway. I was wondering whether we should be moving to the north, but I don't think so. I think controlling this railway, putting pressure on the south of Joinville. I don't. We could get some more regiments, brigades. Well, yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's get these 3 more regiments. That way, we can move them up to like Nancy or somewhere to deal with Frank Tier. And again, I've not played this. You're seeing as far as I've played into this. We very well may need those to keep supply lines open as we push deeper into France in this game. The Comte de Paletalo leaves Paris and escapes to Belgium. Okay, I'm sure I'm butchering that. Okay, 477 MPP. They're shifting around in there for some reason with railways. I don't get that, but all right. Guess they're allowed. Okay, more frontier. Okay, so well, yeah. Let me get a unit right in Nancy. Hey, Karnach. Thanks for being a subscriber, and good evening to you. Right. Okay, let's just actually sit in Nancy there. See if that reduces the Frank tier activities. Now, again, I want to say, the more I've read about the Franco-Prussian War and some of the other stuff that I've read about and watched some documentaries on World War I, really show this whole episode up and through to the end of World War II to be a connected series of events. To really try, and I try to understand history. Sorry if I go a little bit into lecture mode while I'm thinking about some of this stuff. I try, like I say, I try to understand history. I try to, okay, we need to take this to get the rail connected up and through and out to here. Try to not, I'm not a historian who focuses on dates and names of things. I like to understand the flow of history and why things work. And you have, on a grand scale and on a micro scale, you have connective elements and how they shaped where we are today, in World War II, really, of course, and the Cold War after that, obviously, but World War II sets up the Cold War. So really shapes why and how we are where we are today. You have with the Franc-Tireurs, and that's what I'm referring to as Germany, and it is Germany, because yes, it's the Franco-Prussian War, but it's the North German Confederation that the French knew that they were declaring war on. There was, my understanding, is a secret clauses in treaties with the Southern German Confederation, or whatever it would be called, Bavaria and whatnot, that if the Northern German Confederation is attacked, they will come in. So, yeah, this war ended with World War II, in my opinion. Yeah, you're very right, Ellen. And so, on the micro level, they experienced the guerrilla war, and well, and so, like I say, it was all the German states, and in a way, it's very much proto. The German Empire is already sort of happening in that, for the most part, my understanding is all the nations used the same caliber of a Dreise needle gun. The German states, they were using the same tactics, so that there wasn't, it was, although independent armies still at this point, by World War II, you're getting, there's like the Bavarian army. But again, and it is its own establishment. Now, it is part of the German imperial army system with the sort of the Prussian army, the Bavarian army, and I think there's one other establishment. Sorry, I don't know all the details. But, they're all basically forced to use Prussian tactics, and if Prussian decides we're going to use this model of Mauser rifle, the Bavarian army is going to have to use that model of rifle, where, in modern day, whether you're talking the EU or really probably more appropriately NATO, there's no, with the kind of joint settings we have here with NATO today, there's no one saying that the French must use a particular rifle. Now, there is basically a setting they must use a particular caliber, be able to feed 223, 308 through their guns, no longer do the Gaulish thing of having 7.5 millimeter to have a French caliber or something like that. And although different nations, like for their main guns, for their main battle tanks, it's going to be either 105 or today more likely 120 millimeter guns on them, and you may have a particular tailored German round because they've gone to a longer barrel, or an American depleted uranium round, and maybe the ballistics computers, I just don't know, on particular models of Leopards or American Abrams might not be zeroed in for the exact round, the exact particular national round, but they can all feed basic 120 millimeter tank rounds through their system, even if it's not most optimum. So that when the pallets of ammo arrive wherever for joint operations, they will all, whether they're British pallets of ammo or French pallets of ammo or American pallets of ammo, whether again for main guns or artillery pieces or rifles and machine guns, they'll all be able to feed and function. So we do have a certain amount of required uniformity. Yes, exactly. I guess I'll call you devout. I don't know. And so we have that, but in the German confederations and into the imperial system, it's much more. Although, like I say, separate establishments, much more centrally controlled. And you're absolutely right. I would say the chassepot, being a metallic cartridge, single shot, versus the Dreise needle gun, which is a paper cartridge. It is still a breech loading, quick. You don't have to tear open the paper cartridge or anything like that, like on a muzzle loader or some breech loaders that needed or did so sort of automatically, that with needing to place a cap on the back of it. I'm thinking of like the Sharps breech loading rifles, but ones that are not a metallic cartridge version of the Sharps, the sort of American Civil War Sharps, that still needed a cap on the back there. They went with the needle gun, which has a sort of a long needle firing pin that goes in and hits a primer sort of deep into the cartridge, if you will. And being a paper cartridge, it's going to be more susceptible to just general handling damage, but also, of course, weather and other problems. So you do have that, and that's better. And you're very right. The French had a cannon that I believe is lighter in caliber, but is much faster firing, in that it is a breech loading caliber, or a breech loading gun. And we're going to keep the rest of these guys sort of moving forward, because with the artillery, and see, like I sort of timed this, by the time we get there, we're going to, next turn, so we're going to be able to shoot. Should have 4 shells per gun. Breech loading metallic cartridge for the shells for that, where the French are still using a muzzle loading gun. Well, maybe we should keep you sort of to the south, you come to here. No, let's move you up to here. So, I would say the French have the better rifle, but I would also go, the Prussian rifle isn't that bad. It isn't like a muzzle loader or a 2-part loader, meaning putting in some sort of paper cartridge. The Sharps was designed that when you close the breech on the paper cartridge, it would or should cut the back of the paper cartridge off. And then you had the additional step of, after cocking it, you had to put the cap on and secure that on, which takes a couple of steps there, if you will, in handling it, and that's going to slow you up much more. But with that needle rifle, and no, I've not shot either weapon or anything like that. But I really think just simply opening it, opening the breech, because it is a bolt action type rifle. Opening that breech, putting in the paper cartridge, and closing the breech, you're cocked and ready to go. So it's about as handy as a chassepot. It's I don't know the ballistic, because both are using black powder, not more smokeless powder that's coming, that's a much higher velocity capable. So I think they're going to have similar ballistics. So it's not that bad of a comparison between the two of them. I would, yes, prefer the metallic cartridge. I can't know we're too far forward for supply to get you. And P.S. Okay, when I was in university, the way the professor put it was that the Prussians applied the Industrial Revolution to their military first and better than any other nation, although from what I remember, he divided into like 3 different advances. Another was the creation of the general staff. Yes. Most nations, and I really don't know enough about France, but most nations do not have the idea of a general staff. That is, Napoleon, yeah, he's forming that kind of thing. But I think that's lost with the royalists taking over after Napoleon. But also what the Prussians are, the Germans, if you will, are doing for the industrialization of warfare is use of the railway. They planned, using that general staff, they planned the mobilization of the army as well as the supply and transportation of the army using the railways. And it was, like I say, planned also in the sense that it's not like, oh, well, yeah, maybe we should use railways to move supplies. No, they had personnel designated, officers, and I'm sure, some sort of military personnel handling the supply. Whether I don't know exactly what elements of the army would be, but the idea that you have officers that are going to take charge of coordinating the railway and taking over the railway system throughout Germany and basically shutting down civilian traffic for the mobilization period of the conflict, and then continuing as needed for supply usage, and having that pre-planned out. Where I think with the French, yeah, they understood because there were French observers in the American Civil War, which definitely is using railways for warfare. And that's why this DLC, the American Civil War is obviously 1861 to 1865. This is just 5 years later. So there is basically no major technological developments from the American Civil War. You have it starts with an M and it's hard to pronounce. I'm not even going to try. You do have the French use of a volley gun. It's sort of like the Gatling gun, but it does volley. You put in a sort of a sheet with a bunch of bullets on it, and you push the crank forward, and that fires them all at once. So instead of like turning a crank to keep ongoing, it's like shoots a volley, you pull that out, another guy puts it in, and you just keep working the gun. And so to me, it seems like the Gatling gun is a more effective gun, and the French had this better gun that the Germans didn't, but they didn't, as far as my understanding. It was trying to be kept a secret as much as possible. Not the existence of it, as far as I understand, but the scale of it, production, and sort of, shall we say, the tactical use of it. So prior to the start of the war, they're not distributed to units. They're all like warehoused, and a few cadre of people have been trained and figured out, trying to figure out how to operate and use the thing. But to scale that out to have it tactically used, meaning the guy in charge of this division here, how does he use these volley guns? Because they look like artillery pieces, and that they're have a big round barrel on them, and they're in a sort of standard light artillery carriage configuration. Do you use them like artillery pieces, or do you have other tactical uses for them, and how do you integrate them? Do you try to space them out? Because the French are using sort of conventional Napoleonic era line and column movements. Do you just stick one of these guns on each end of your lines, and then so if you're 3 battalions there, so there'll be single gun on the outside, 2 guns, because one from each side of the battalion, and then battalion, and then 2 guns, and then a battalion, and then another volley gun? Or do you stick all the volley guns on one side, on a flank? Or do you stick the volley guns in the center? How do you employ the volley guns? And I don't know what their thinking was, but they had not trained their army in a coherent way to use this weapon effectively. So it's very ineffectively used, as far as I understand, at least on an army-wide scale. Not that there weren't people that didn't know how to, load and shoot the thing. That probably is not a hard, drill to train the troops in. It's how to integrate it into your forces. So, the French did not have, like I say, the modern, and so that is industrial warfare, and you need to have an industrial production of ammunition to keep these guns operating, and you need to be able to get the ammo to the front, and the French just didn't have that, at least not at the critical moments that that when the decision is made of who's winning or losing the war. And by the time they're marching on Paris, we've already know who's winning the war. It's just trying to get the conclusion done in a reasonable amount of time. Okay, I remember another professor who felt that the French had great technology, but it wasn't mass-produced the way the Germans did. Yeah, his joke was that the French industrialization was a little bald men with hammers. I don't know enough about that to comment intelligently. I mean, it's a cute description, and I'm not saying it's a bad description. Oh, they got defense. Oh, it's just their own defensive artillery. I was wondering if there's any gun there that I didn't realize. Now they're weaker, yeah. Okay, so they're being beaten down. I do know that the Industrial Revolution really starts in Britain. I would consider, and I'm not the greatest expert, but I would consider it is then next really being adopted in Europe, in Germany, and in the United States. And then from there spreading out to other parts of Europe, industrialization. Now, not that France is very far behind, because I do consider it an industrialized state, but especially by this time period, but it is not as organic or early as I would say the Germans. Okay, I think the cavalry will screen into this forest. Just trying to, because next turn we're going to volley on that and take that and push on, which will hopefully keep our, hopefully that'll keep the frontiers down. Maybe next turn we'll move up our artillery, rails. Yeah, the thing, I mean, we were, yeah, now we're using defensive artillery on them, so they're getting, well, I would have thought they would have been better, more hammered than that. But we have forces, we can move out. The French forces surrender at Metz. Okay, like I say, I believe it was at 20% per turn once you control the outer area there. As we're going to move back just because we want to get the railway as controlled and as fast as possible. To again, want to move up some forces. Okay, well here, we're probably going to be enough turns moving it forward before we really need to shoot again. Here with these, let's just grand battery them. You can see their readiness and overall strength is down. Oh, he has one more shot. And hello, Maladroit. Thanks for being a subscriber here. We really do appreciate it. Okay, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. Backward supply is good. Take them out, hopefully, yes. And occupy the province. Probably somebody there. Nope, nobody's there yet. No, can't quite make it. Could they make? No, they can't. But they can get to there. And I studied French history a fair bit. One of the complaints is that their industrialization was hampered by anti-competitive practices in industry and by the government raising tariffs rather than making industry better. This, of course, still runs up against contemporary politics. Yes, you No, I'm not going to go too deep into it just because it's not the subject of the Franco-Prussian and onward wars here. But I will say that, yes, government policies can help or hinder major developments. Was watching some videos on Taiwan's development of semiconductors and how then the roles the government of Taiwan was playing, in that case primarily very helpfully in developing the semiconductor industry for Taiwan, can do so. And we can see real world effects where if, like you say, you do a lot of tariffs, very well might hamper industrialization. But we can also see without tariffs, we could also see, like the situations, of course, the modern global supply chains that exist, and with the recent virus situation and how they get disrupted. Well, it very well could be that without any tariffs, in a place like France being just a big market, might have meant a market for German and British products without them. So I don't have like a specific this would solve it or wouldn't it solve that situation, but that is very correct, I would say, in that that would be a reason. I think we're going to go after the points there and then come up to there. Okay, well, we're going to move you to here because I want to take this rail link so that they don't rail in troops to defend that before I get there. We're going to move you up to here. Down to here again to get us some MPP to that. Yeah, it's a good point. Certainly globalization has taken a massive black eye in the past few years. Yeah, and there are I'll talk more openly politics on my own channel, and this isn't the place for it. And I hope you can tell I'm specifically avoiding politics because I'm not espousing a particular ideology. But we can readily see good and bad points to something like globalization. There's very good reasons for it, to have it happen, and there's very good reasons not to have it happen. It becomes there is a absolute observational go and say, oh hey, yeah, this is definitely improvement with globalization here or there that would be observable, and an absolute event happening, and then there's judgment calls as well on whether something is good or bad. Brunswick used France to form Germany in this. Oh, Bismarck. Sorry, I read that as Brunswick, but yeah, Bismarck used France to form Germany in this war. Well, in the final analysis, yes, I would say he's starting the. Do we? Yeah, I think we do. I do want to keep speed up. He starts it earlier with his just fully take out a unit. It's always good with this game to fully take out a unit whenever and wherever you can. He starts earlier with getting Austria out of Germany, because the Habsburg Empire, shall we call it, is not a German. It is centered in Germany, but it is not a German-centric empire. It is, an empire that has lots of territory, because it eventually becomes the Austro-Hungarian Empire, if you will. It's as much outward looking, where Bismarck is trying to consolidate German states within Germany. So they need to, and he realizes that the Habsburgs aren't something that you can ignore, and so he focuses on on the Hohenzollern monarchy of Prussia as being the key feature to be that unifying force. And so he has to at first move Austria, shall we say, off the playing board of internal German politics as much as possible, and get it away from the Protestant Catholic divide, and trying to get, which they obviously do get, Bavaria to be more in the Prussian sphere there. And so this is definitely, you're right, that this is the final place. And yes, the German Empire, my understanding, is declared here in Versailles in the Hall of Mirrors. So yeah, again, I am not the best expert on this war, but I do know bits and pieces. Now, okay, so these are fortified and dug in, and the secondary supply in Verdun. This will be able to bombard my troops. I think there's value in taking this. So what we're going to do here is, since we can't, okay, no, well, we're going to get better supply next turn. Let's see this. I am playing the game while talking to you. So, okay, 5 and 5 supply. 5 and 5 after that. I was hoping I would see a next turn benefit from having this rail system linked up, but not enough. And there's no reason to move right next to here and just sit there, because they will be able, okay, well, these guys we can increase to 10. Much. Okay, well, I guess we increase them now. I'm wondering whether we would move them next turn or not. We'll just get you one closer to take that next turn. They're sitting in there, they're sitting in there. These guys, yeah, let's move them this way. Okay, now again, we're probably not going to move them, but if we were to attempt to, I'm hoping with getting these, we'll be able to get past this line and get this built up, good enough, stop the Frank-Tiers from destroying the rail communication center there and control that there long enough so we can move forward. Okay, well, let's purchase some brigades. I don't remember the exact time limit. Okay, that's good enough for this turn. But we might as well get them earlier if we're going to get them, because it will take us a while. Again, I don't remember the turn, or how many, what's the end date here, but it takes a while for them to show up. That's, again, why you want to remove them from the map, the enemy, as much as you can, because yes, when these guys, we can attack again here, repair themselves or get reinforcements, they're not as at the same strength, or readiness and morale, and sure, they have to pay for the MPP to rebuild the strength. So it is still good to grind it down if you do so at a good exchange rate, whatever you want to consider that to be. But to fully rebuild a unit, not only do you have to spend the MPP, you have the delay in getting it onto the field. So that is... Are you keeping Von Moltke happy, or are you lagging behind? Hello, OCB. I'm hoping I'm keeping him happy. Where is Moltke? Crown Prince. I think he's one of the generals. Steinmetz. Thought he... Maybe he's not one of the... Or is he? Maybe he's just too high of command to be one of the on-map ones. But yeah, I'm hoping I'm keeping up with it. Yes, hello. But yeah, he's running the overall war. So I just didn't know if he was a counter on the map or not. I forgot. I guess the answer is no. French fighting spirit falls due to the loss of Metz. Very good. Getting even more, a whole lot more than last turn. We will as we occupy it. Well, they're withdrawing from Verdun. I don't know why. Well, they're putting other forces in, probably better forces. Okay, they bounced into my force. I'm hopefully did not get a good exchange there. Frontier activity in Strasbourg. Uh-oh. Okay, well, we have to go deal with that. I don't know if they'll be able to enter the city or not because they're rebels. Okay, we did not have frontier activity there, so we very well may be able to move our heavy artillery up without having them just multiply that. I'm going to spend multiple times for the same movement. If we go up there now, we're not going to be able to reinforce them much at all. So we'll move him up here. These guys, I don't think they can move much because of lack of supply. Yeah, they're out of supply, basically. But we're get more in here because we did not have frontier activity this time. That just connects this railway link down up and through to here, as well as through to here. I don't, you know, this is a important node here. Because yes, if we can't move railway through here, this is all cut off and this is up here. So we've got here to here. Okay, that's going to be good. With this coming down this way here, we're going to... Oh, I'll be greedy. Oh. Ah! Well, your general became uncautious and pushed too far. I was figuring that was going to be unoccupied. Move south down into here because I think we can do more usefulness with you rampaging around. I think this is the turn for some of these units to continue to reinforce. We see about moving up the artillery. Okay, they could get to there. Not going to really again supply. Next turn it'll be the same. Yeah, I think we can go to there and be all right. There we go. Well, if I move them up, no, they're not going to come out. I know I just declared that, and it may not be the case, but we're going to leave you at Metz just as a guarantor of control. Okay, now here. Now, can we move these up? Yes. No. Hmm? I can't by next turn. I'm going to move them because I don't want to walk them forward. I want to get them by rail all the way to the front. Yeah, I think he'll be better use more mobile.